and see whether they perform any better than the live stream itself. So, does anybody want me to see if I can continue on part 3? I have time, I might as well. No. Oh, I can replay them? I might have to come back and investigate that. Yeah, I'm going to continue for a third part. I think I can download this from YouTube and chop it up. Quality probably won't be as good as if I downloaded from Twitch, because Twitch stores the game at the resolution that you upload, which is quite high. YouTube will have processed this into a much lower resolution. But, you know, it's worth it as an experiment. Let's see who actually... See if there's a difference between the people who watch the live stream and the people who watch the individual and slightly shorter sections. Oh. Rather amusingly, yesterday I suggested to one of the moderators on Facebook that maybe he would like to live stream his some of his thoughts on TGC's bugs and testing and this sort of thing. He made the comment, it wouldn't... I'm going to have to paraphrase with apologies if I get it wrong. I doubt he's going to watch this, but anyway, something along the lines of it wouldn't compete or compare to mine, and I happened to make the comment something like, what? You know, the 3 or so hour live stream that well, not 3, the total 3-hour live stream of me reading a scientific paper on silicon-based life forms, or it turns out it meant the legal stuff that I did for ThatGameCompany's end-user license agreements and what have you, which is a total 4 hours, I think. I've got absolutely no idea where I'm going here. Oh, and of course they have the environmental comment about wind generated. Those things use, I think, is niobium magnets, and I think it's how you pronounce it. Niobium is a rare earth element, very hard to get hold of. It's not actually rare, it's just that in commercially mineable quantities it is rare. The rare earth elements are not named because they're rare on the planet, they're named because they're rare to get in suitable numbers. Oh yes, of course. And all those have rare earth elements, and you'd be hard pressed to call mining some rare earth elements green. If they lasted, here's a thing for you. Of course, you're familiar with the current obsession with electric cars. The thing about electric cars is creating each one is a significant carbon footprint. You have to drive. I saw one study. Well, not one study. It was reported that if for an electric car to compensate for the carbon footprint of its manufacturer, you have to drive the electric car for something like 40,000 miles. And then it starts having a benefit. I don't know how long the batteries last in those things. So if they don't last for 40,000 miles, then you've completely negated the benefit of the electric car. While I'm on about it, of course, the other problem with electric cars is where they get their electricity from. Because in some ways what you're doing with electric cars is instead of generating your electricity and power in your own vehicle, you're getting it from a power station. And there are still a lot of coal and oil powered power stations. So really, not only do you have to get an electric car, drive it for 40,000 miles, you also have to try and make sure that the electricity you're getting for your car is done in a environmentally friendly fashion, which pretty much brings that down to arguably wind and solar power. And people may be saying, how about hydroelectric? Hydroelectric is environmentally quite damaging. You're flooding and changing the environment of massive areas of land. So you're balancing potential good you're doing against potential harm. And the other possibility, of course, is nuclear power, but nuclear power stations have their own problems because, of course, they generate while the running of them might conceivably be environmentally conscious, sooner or later you're going to have another Chernobyl, and that's a problem. The other problem, of course, is the radioactive waste. What are you going to do with that? The nuclear power plants we do have right now are leaving behind a horrendous legacy for our descendants that will last thousands and thousands of years into the future. Where are we going to store that nuclear waste in a way that is secure for that length of time? What we're basically doing, arguably, is setting up an environmental nightmare for, not our children, not our grandchildren, not even our great-great-grandchildren, but 1,000 years down the way, they're going to have to potentially deal with the consequences of nuclear power. I mean, short term, it might be a solution, but long term, oh boy. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. If they can ever get nuclear fusion working, that might be better, but nuclear fusion's been promised for decades. And I think we're getting closer to it. There was a recent experiment where they actually got more energy out of a fusion, not power station, fusion power experiment. And that was a first, and that was after decades and decades of research and effort. I don't know that we know how to build a commercial fusion power plant. And I don't know the consequences of it, because I believe radiation is generated by fusion power plants. I just can't remember the details right now. Yeah, I'm going to call their message a little bit... I'm tempted to say it's a bit naive, but it's nice. I mean, I'm not going to complain over much. I wonder how long you do have to run a wind turbine to counteract its the carbon footprint of manufacturing the thing. Anybody tell me the country with the smallest carbon footprint in the world? In fact, its carbon footprint is so small, it's actually carbon negative. It basically, and that is, I think it's Bhutan. If my recent binge watching of QI is anything to go by. QI, quite interesting. BBC TV show that's been going for some considerable time. What I find amusing about watching, especially old episodes of QI, is how much they actually get wrong. And that they should have known about being wrong at the time, I mean. Alright, where am I heading next? I suppose I should look for the non-turning wind turbines. But yeah, these don't kill. I mean, yes, a few birds get killed by them, but in the big scheme of things, it's a non-issue, as I said. One thing I have wondered, I must admit, and I don't know that we have enough wind turbines. So wind turbines obviously work by air passing through those blades. Those blades turn inside a magnetic, I can't remember whether they turn a copper coil. Yeah, I think they turn magnets inside a copper coil, which induces an electric current. I think that's more or less right. But do you know what they're doing? How they're doing that? Well, you've got the wind coming in and turning it, and they're robbing the wind of energy. So if you had a whole batch, let's suppose you did a study, all right, and you pick a place where you're going to stick a wind farm, and for a year you measure wind speeds in that area, and let's suppose that's a reasonable summary of wind speeds in that area, both before and after where you're going to place your wind turbine farm. Right? Now, if you were to do that study, you put your wind farm in, and then you do a similar study, you will find that the wind speeds behind the wind farm are going to be reduced because the energy from the wind is being used to turn those turbines. Now, I must admit, I don't know how much energy is lost, but energy will be lost. And I don't know if anybody's ever has considered what effect that might have on the environment. Because if you're disrupting wind patterns, now granted this would be, I suppose, primarily at ground level, how's that going to affect things like evaporation of moisture from behind the wind turbines? How's it going to affect rainfall? How's it going to affect other things? Don't know if we have enough data to actually make accurate predictions on that. Which isn't to say we shouldn't at least try, by the way. I'm not saying we shouldn't do anything. I'm just pointing out that, you know, all these things are far more complicated. As I say to my son when I'm talking about almost anything, he knows what I'm going to say at some point, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Everything is a lot more complicated than that. So earlier, for example, I talked about okay, we'll pick big areas of the desert and we'll stick wind farms there. Now, it is a truism that most of the sun's energy that hits the planet, you know, we don't use. It's a massive amount of energy. Does anybody know what the effect of sticking a massive wind farm in the middle of Saudi Arabia's desert or the middle of the Sahara? You know, an area where there are very few people and there isn't much life. I mean, suppose you stick one in the Atacama. Dry, it's one of the most driest, most lifeless surface air environments on the planet. What effect would be sticking multiple square miles of solar panels in those areas be? Because the ground is not going to receive the solar energy anymore. What's the effect of that going to be? I don't know enough to even start to speculating. I mean, there's very little plant and wildlife in this area. In fact, there's practically no plant life, except possibly for algae. But how's that going to affect things? Don't know. Anything we consider doing on a large scale is going to have some kind of impact. All worth bearing in mind. This isn't me. I'm hands off at the moment. Oh. Is it taking me to bits I hadn't done? I suppose it must be. Hang on, why can't I turn round? It's not letting me turn round. Do I have to only go forwards? I can't turn round. Huh. Well, I guess I will just follow where the wind's taking me. That seems a little unfair. Did they just set up a sort of challenge there? Because I know I missed some patches of plants and I don't seem to be able to get back to it. Oh, though I definitely didn't intend to go through here. Wow, that was unexpected. Oh, that is a game dynamic I've seen before. Anybody familiar with the wind paths in Journey? Sorry, Sky? That just gave me vibes from that, I can tell you. Alright, what? I seem to be doing very little, and nothing I seem to do seems to make much difference on what I'm collecting. Is it possible to actually fail at a level here and have to go back and redo it? Oh, I've already been through here, haven't I? So, is this the general thing here? I'm supposed to sort of go through and get the bits I haven't got? Have I already been through here? No, I haven't. I don't think so. Oh, yes, I have. Alright, slow down, slow down. Not me, the game. I want to catch these. I can't go up. Of course, it helps if I wasn't accidentally pressing the Q button half the time. Have I already been through here? Nope, apparently not. Oh, now that is something we've seen before in both Journey and Sky. That whole lighting up of the rock paintings, petroglyphs, not quite sure what you'd call them. I am somewhat reminded of a comment I came across. It was something about the argument between people who argue that, you know, things like global warming are not man-made, and the point was made that even if we are wrong about the origins of global warming, isn't doing something good for the planet worthwhile? Even if we're wrong about the motivations for doing it? I think that's a valid point, frankly. I do seem to be incapable of going backwards there. The change in landscapes is quite interesting. I do like that. I mean, this looks almost like Badland in the United States. Oh, look at this. Massive wind farm. With electrical pylons in the background. I'll tell you what, the number of petals that I've got here on the screen is somewhat distracting now. Is that supposed to be a pollution-ridden background? I suppose it could be. You do get beautiful sunsets from dust and pollution in the air. Come on, go this way. Oh, that is discordant. Can I go back and get the ones I missed? I can. I wonder how much I've missed in the game. I've just realised I have to look up at some point design for wind farms, because given that, say, you've got that front row of wind turbines there, if you've got a row behind it, they're not going to get as much energy from the wind as the front row. So do you have to stagger them? Have them at different levels? Is there a consideration of that? I don't know. Or does it simply not matter? Yeah, the message, of course, is fairly clear here. Cleaner environment, better for nature. Don't have a problem with the message, to be honest. Just the logistics. Oh, talking of which, if you want an example of that, I think there's a directive to get, I think it's the state of Texas, moved over to using electric cars by a certain point. I'm not even sure how accurate what I'm saying is, but it actually still makes the point. And the problem with doing that is that the electrical grid in Texas is not up to providing electricity to all the electric cars that would be necessary. So, it's one thing to have electric cars. Is your electrical infrastructure going to support it? Huh, look at that. Part 3. Is there a part 4? There is. I am not going to do part 4. I am going to bring this to a close here. Download this, split it up into 3 parts, and make it for more accessible watching, and see how that goes. That was actually kind of fun. I feel distinctly soothed at the end of it, and I hope anybody watching that does too. At this point, I don't know whether I'll be streaming tomorrow. I know I normally do Minecraft on Wednesdays, but my most recent Minecraft videos have proven to be not popular at all. So I may not bother, or I'll do something else. I may or may not put a poll up for the rest of the day and see what people say. Anyway, that's it for today. I will see you all as soon as I get to OBS. I will see you all next time.